Nintendo Switch, reported error 21620001. Let's plug it up and see if that's what we get. And we're getting no signs of life, so I'm going to have to take the customer's word on that error code. Just checking to make sure we're not pulling any voltage. Okay, I'm showing 5 volts, which is unusual. Flip it around, and we're getting no voltage on the other side. 5.24 volts. It is pulling 1.5 amps, but no signs of life. It should be pulling 15 volts on the OEM charger, so definitely have an issue. Let's get it apart and find out what it is. We have it apart enough to do some testing. Side B is the side that's exposed when you take off the back cover on the original Nintendo Switch, which is way better than the Nintendo Switch Lite or the OLED, because most of the parts you need to test are on this side, for this particular fault anyway. So let's do some testing. As always, we're going to test the capacitors going around the chip, and the lines we're concerned about are the ones going to the chip. One side of the capacitor will always be ground. If both sides are ground, you have a problem. Immediately it appears we have a problem, because that is shorted and it shouldn't be. It's an unusual cap to go short. Don't usually see that one short. Okay, so we do have a short on this line. We're going to fly down here and test our components in between. Just make sure we don't have any unexpected shorts. Okay, check our fuse. The invincible fuse is invincible as always. The M92T36 is the fuse in this system, and if it fails, the whole system fails. Let's check our test pads. None of these should be shorted to ground, and none of them are. Interesting. So it's a little interesting where we're getting a short. And then we're going to test our BQ24193. Same deal. The line's going to the chip. This is the line you don't want to be shorted, but if you have doubts, again, only one side of these could have a pathway to ground. Okay, everything looks okay there. We have one unusual guy right here that is shorted on both sides. This line right here should not have a pathway to ground. I'm a little concerned because that is a very unusual area for the only short in the system to pop up. I don't know. We'll have to pull the chip and see if we can relieve that short. If we can, great. If we can't, well, darn. let's go ahead and test our Pi 3 USB area. And we're going to check our big capacitor right here. That's the primary one we're worried about. And then the line going to the chip seems to be okay. Check all of our lines and make sure none of them are shorted. Everything seems okay. Make sure all of our filters have continuity. Going through them. Okay, and we don't want any continuity going side to side. Okay, everything seems to be okay over here. Seems. For your orientation purposes, we will be working here on side B. And this is the version we're working on. We are set up to remove the chip. In order to remove the chip, I must turn on my equipment. And while I turn on my equipment, let me throw up my expected temperatures for the job. These temperatures are brought to you by the associate links in the description. If you go to my video description and click on one of these links and buy any of this equipment, a small portion of that purchase will go to supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate you. It won't cost you an extra dime. Add some flux. And we'll pull the chip. I'm not going to immediately replace it. I want to do some testing once it's removed. As always, we're not going to even touch this chip until we see that all the pads have liquefied. Successful pull. Let's test that capacitor again. This time we have a conveniently placed ground. Okay, and it is no longer shorted. So it appears the chip was the cause, but we won't really know until we get another chip on. And unfortunately the chips are kind of a crapshoot. So we may have to do more than one. We'll find out. You might notice I am wearing a static strap. I'm just doing that as a precaution with these chips. We get so many bad ones, I just want to make sure it's not me causing the problem. Eliminating one more possibility. We'll sit it down in proper orientation and then wet the solder again. And when setting this, we want to make sure that center pad is wetted before we even try to place it. We need some surface tension to hold the chip in place. Place it in the solder and then we'll get it in place and press it down a little bit. Move our heat, move our shim, and we'll take a look and see how we did on the placement. Side looks pretty good. Side looks pretty good. That side looks pretty good. And that side looks pretty good. Everything looks aligned, everything looks flat. Now we'll test again. This copper shim is just there for protection and to diffuse some of this glare. Let's see if we have reacquired our shorts. And we have not. Alright, let's check all the other capacitors because we don't know if this chip came pre-shorted. And it does not appear that it has. That doesn't mean it's going to work, but we'll find out. I'm going to clean this up and then we'll set up for a power test and see if it's giving us normal behavior. I hope you're getting value out of this repair. If you find this is more than what you're ready to tackle on your own, just a reminder, I do offer mail-in services. Just head over to micromage.repair, click free quote, fill out the form, and I'll get back to you personally. If you mention this video, I'll give you 10% off on your repair. Okay, I have the board hooked up to my modified Power Squid, which we have put Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite battery connectors on. And now we're going to turn on the PSU. In order to activate this, you need an OEM charger. We will use our OEM charger. And we'll just quickly plug it in and take it out. And we are watching PSU channel 1. And we just want to see a normal boot sequence here. How do you know what the normal boot sequence is? You plug it up and watch it enough times. Boy, that does not look normal. It's a little low. Out of curiosity, I may hook this up to my dongle and see if we're getting any video. Now, I normally test with the OEM dock, but it's a little hard to set up, and I just want to see if we're getting a picture. It's not the end-all be-all of our testing. Let's put it back up. Plug in our dongle. And see if we're getting any video. We are getting video, so it is booting. It's a little bit odd on the current, but it's booting, so I'm going to go ahead and set up our OEM dongle. I think it's going to display too, but I just want to make sure. Okay, we'll boot it again. Plug in our dock. And it's displaying. Okay, so it's booting. Well, the question is it going to be charging normally? So what I'm going to do, what I may do is grab a battery and just see if it's pulling normal charging current on a battery. Okay, let's just see what we're pulling on a battery. I don't know, that current seems a little bit low for as dead as that battery is, but it may have to trickle it up too. That battery's been sitting for a while. Let's put theirs on and see how it does. All right, see how theirs does. And voltage is crazy low. I think I'm going to stick their battery on my battery refurbisher and give it some time to charge, and then we'll see what it does. Okay, we're going to let their battery sit and charge for a little bit and see if we can pull it out of whatever state it's in and go from there. Okay, and I figured out why we weren't getting the correct current that I was expecting. I didn't realize I had my power supply stuck on parallel because I was working on something that needed more amps the other day. Whoops. Okay, it charged for a little while, got up to about an amp, so I'm going to plug it back in, and we should be getting something that looks more like normal current now that the battery is awake, and that looks much more normal. I'm going to unplug it, we'll put it back in the housing and go from there. As you can see, we're back up and running and charging at normal voltage. I'm going to sit here and let it charge for a while, and we'll come back, and once it's charged up enough that I'm confident that it's working properly, but so far so good. Okay, we're back up and running. We're up to 31% on the console. We have fully charged his Joy-Con, so I am pretty convinced that it is working. I'm going to leave it on to fully charge, but I don't foresee any future problems with it. So with that, I'm going to call this a video. If you got value out of this video, I think you'll get value out of this one, and I'll see you there. Until then, God bless and have a great day.